It's the Mad Hatter Show podcast, and I'm honored to have somebody that I can call a friend, and I almost feel like an uncle to this young fella right here. Paul Wall is in the building with me today.
Do, baby?
Always good to talk to Paul. And I just, when I saw Paul, I was reminded of meeting him when literally he was a baby.
Yeah.
And when he walked in here, this is, because I see them like sporadically, a lot of the young brothers from Houston that have done their thing and made it in the music biz. So I'm seeing them now with the grades. I'm like, damn, Paul, you're getting older.
I can finally
you're
let
a
my
dad,
grades show,
you're
man.
a dad now, you're a husband, and still living this dream, brother. And you know what? And let me go back. For those that don't know who Paul Wall is, let's take it back. Where is Paul Wall from? And then we'll move on through some of the history with you. But I just want to know where it all started for Paul Wall at.
I was born in Georgetown, Texas, right outside of Austin. And as soon as I was born, that's where my grandparents lived. They lived right outside of Austin. So that's the hospital that was closest where I was born. And, after that, I moved to Prairie View in Hempstead, Waller. That's where my mom lived. And then from there, we shortly moved. When I was about, maybe first grade, I moved to Houston. And that's when me and Chamillionaire, we moved on the same street within a year of each other. We both moved from different places and moved within a year of each other on the same street, and that's where it all started for me, man. And, shout out to Chamillionaire, my boy. Grew up with him, childhood friend. So that definitely helped shape a lot of my hip hop aspirations. It's something I probably would have never even considered.
How did that happen? I'm glad you brought that up. How did this? And at that time, Paul, let's be honest. At that time, all we know is the Beatsy Boys
right.
with white rappers.
Right.
We don't know
MC Surge.
Third base, no doubt.
Yeah, and then when
and I hate to say it, but Vanilla Ice, yeah.
And at the time, like Vanilla Ice really had left kind of a bad taste in hip hop's mouth for white rappers. So I don't know exactly what it was, but being compared to Vanilla Ice was not a compliment back in those days. You know what I'm saying?
It wasn't.
MC Search or the Beastie Boys, of course, they're like, the hip hop royalty. So it was a little different if someone compare you to one of them. But if someone compare you to Vanilla Ice, no disrespect Vanilla Ice, but it was
Vanilla Ice still on tour.
Yeah, he's
still making that money. So.
And also speaking of Vanilla Ice, is something I always go back to when people talk about sales. For me as a hip hop artist, the artistry, the art of hip hop is something that I really have a great passion for, a great love for. And when you judge people's work, a lot of times there's different measures of judgment. And one of the measures that a lot of people get judged by is their sales. But I'm quick to point out Vanilla Ice sold like 40 million records.
That's right.
So, if you talk about greatest rappers of all time and you're measuring it off of sales, well, hey,
so that might need to be mentioned.
Now, I'm not saying that he's one of the greatest rappers. I'm just saying that me personally, I never use sales as a measurement for how good someone is or how much I like them. I don't like them because they sold a lot of units. The music doesn't sound better because they sold a lot of sales or got a lot of streams. That just means people were interested in especially in this day and age, people get so I don't know, worked up, triggered, I don't know what, about numbers. And it's, you could do something extremely controversial. You could fart on Kanye West was boo boop, beep bop, boop, and everybody's listening to it. Well, that's a lot of numbers because you're curious what it sounds like.
Yep.
But, streaming, where are the people that are returning to listen? You know what I'm saying? The return listeners, you know what I'm saying? How many people are coming to want to hear you perform that song at shows and things like that? Those are the measurements that I think matter more to me than just the initial how many people listened to it, how many people bought it back in the days. That's what ain't nobody buying nothing now. So
but that's right. So how did you get interested? How did you get interested in hip hop? And is this purely coincidental, accidental, whatever you want to call it?
It was just something we all did. Everybody that was on our street, in our neighborhood, we all listened to hip hop. We all played basketball, watched basketball, sport. It's just something.
It never was odd to you that you were the only kid that looked like you that was doing this?
It really wasn't. It wasn't. Nobody in my neighborhood made a point of it. No one told me you shouldn't do it. it.
Wow.
You know, it was always, we're all just doing it. We're all just having fun, even on the school bus, you know, at the lunch table, you know, at the track meets, the basketball games, when you'd see like other people from other schools that could rap, and you kind of get in a circle and, you know, do like your own, like what they call on the East Coast, do like a little cipher. We just get in there, freestyle with each other. You know, that was just something that was just natural and normal. Now, obviously, when I rapped, I would get a great reaction, a great response, because maybe no one expected me to come hard, you know. But it was always a little confusing to me, because, you know, it was like the things I thought were like hard bars, or like, man, that's a hard bar right there. No one would be impressed by it. It would be other things that people liked, and that was the foundation for me to realize my personal preferences are not the ones that are going to be the most successful or widespread.
Yeah, because you hated everything you recorded on most of the time.
To this day, for the most part.
And it was always management or somebody that said, hey, Paul, we think you should do this, and you reluctantly would.
Always. My whole show set list, if you come to any Paul Wall show, there's only one song that was 100% me, my idea, my, you know, pushing to make it a single, me saying, nah, I love this song, this the one. There's only one song, that's Swinging in the Rain.
Really?
Every other song.
Sitting Sideways?
Sitting Sideways.
Really?
Now, some of these songs.
Now, I know you didn't like In Love With My Money.
Yeah, right.
That was a force, that was a corporately forced
corporate decision,
by your company. I.e., I was the company.
Yeah, you were the company. Thank you, by the way. Thank you. Let me take a pause for the cause and say thank you. No, for real, because if my career would have been led by Paul Wall decisions,
you a hard critic.
It might not be a career.
You a hard critic. Paul didn't like anything, anybody. He loved Kiki. Yeah. And it would be limited on Kiki. If Kiki did it, if it sounded like he, but a lot of stuff you did not really like.
Yeah, I've always been anti-mainstream.
Yeah,
so
this is true.
My whole life, listening to mainstream hip-hop was music I mostly hate. Only mainstream hip-hop that I really liked was like Snoop Dogg. Maybe. Yeah. Other than that, every other mainstream artist was like, I don't like them. And then when they, you know, then years later, I can appreciate it now. Yeah. But at the time when it came out, I hated it with every bone in my body, like all mainstream music, because I was all about the underground. All my favorite artists were underground artists, whether it was a Screwed Up Click, whether it was like E40, although he was mainstream, but he had the underground vibe.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and you know, the Hot Boys, they came up from, you know, independent game, you know, underground, and they went mainstream, but still, you know, my favorite Hot Boys was when it was, you know, BG, you know, Chopper City, you know, all the independent releases. Those are my favorites that really molded me and shaped my preferences just in hip hop. So anything that's trendy, anything that's mainstream, anything you got to do to be successful, I was against. So if it's
luckily you had some good people in your life.
Thank you. I got
and not just me, but T. Ferris, I think, was a major component of a lot of the music decisions that you made. For those that don't know, T. Ferris, I guess he manages Megan Thee Stallion at this point too. Yeah. And I guess he still manages you too. He's still a part of your life and helping you make musical decisions.
Still making decisions. He's still helping me make decisions. Thank you, T. Ferris. Thank you.
Now, Paul, how did you know that you were good? At the early stages, when the neighborhood, you rapping in the neighborhood, Chamillionaire, whomever else, how did you know that I might be, not only am I different, but I might be a little special?
I always had like a clever knack for how to put words together, similes and metaphors, things like that. So I would try to incorporate that in my music. You know, if I'm talking about crawling similar to an ant because I'm low to the earth, you know, it's just a way you say it instead of just saying.
You said some dope shit, no doubt about it.
Thank you.
You did say some dope shit.
But you know, I don't know. I always kind of I grew up my whole life with a low self-esteem. So even with the rapping, it was.
I don't see that. It's interesting to hear you say that though.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. If I wasn't coming up with Chamillionaire, I probably would have never even tried to rap. But coming up with Chamillionaire, he has so much confidence that he was like, okay, he's not gonna let his partner in rhyme look weak. So now, you know, if he hard and dope, you know, we both hard and dope, you know. So it really did kind of bleed over to me, and it really it really carried me because my personal confidence was like, no, there's no way. Even I remember we used to do concerts here and there, like talent shows, things like that, but not like real concerts. The first real concert we ever did at Chocolate Town. I was like 14, 15 years old, so we still hella young, real young, man. And it was a song we were called the Sleepwalkers. It was me, Chamillionaire, and my boy PKT, Teray. Okay, we had a song where we remade The Young and the Restless, and my boy Emerson made the beat. He went to Rice at the time, played football, and he was a producer, lived in our neighborhood. So it was like, okay, I'm making beats. Okay, these youngsters in my neighborhood rap. Why not? Let's do it together. That's what we did. And it was a remake of The Young and the Restless. We called it Young from Texas. And I had the last verse. So when we're performing at Chocolate Town, opening up for Big Mike, shout out to Big Mike. I think Chameleon or PKT, one of them had the first verse, the other one had the second verse. I come out on the third verse, kind of similar to how I do on Still Tipping, where I just hang in the back and then my verse come out, and that's when I creep on stage. I first came out on stage to do my verse, tripped over the speaker monitor in the front and fell. So if you see me, it's funny because this past weekend I just tripped over the monitor in Oklahoma. So I still haven't overcome that. my clumsiness is in full effect, and it was. But like I say, man, I if it would have been just on me, I would have never even thought that I could.
Did the audience respond well to you at Chocolate Town? Because Chocolate Town was a hard crowd, bro.
Yeah, that was our neighborhood, so it was like
Chocolate Town ran out Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, it was. I actually, it was a lot of laughter and stuff. But then I got up, kept going, and then it was like, okay, yeah, you got something. So it was, I think at the end of the night I might have earned the respect. But I think me tripping over the monitor was the highlight. You see the white boy come out and trip over the monitor. But even then, a lot of people didn't associate me with being white. They thought I was light-skinned Hispanic. They thought I was Creole Frenchman or something, or mixed or something. Like, it was funny because whatever race you were, that's what they assumed I was. Mm-hmm. So if you were Mexican, oh yeah, Paul Mexican. If you were mixed, Paul mixed. If you were Frenchman, Paul Frenchman. Whatever I was, whatever you was, that's what I was to them. But that's where it started, man, with Chamillionaire, and definitely when I realized I was good, I don't know, it probably was not until the People's Champ came out and it was number one. No, because up until that, I'm a realist, and I'm also being somebody who has a low self-esteem. I'll make excuses up for why there's success. Oh, why am I successful? I'm successful because I will come in. This is what I'm telling myself. Why am I successful? It's how I keep myself grounded and level-headed, but it can keep you down too. It can ground you too low sometimes. But coming up in the Swishahouse, where the Swishahouse was really like such a household name, such a staple for underground music at the time, that anybody rapping the Swishahouse was going to become a household name. Now you got to have skills.
That's not true.
100%.
There was just dope rappers at the time, Paul. I'm not going to let you throw that away. The people that were getting on those tapes were dope. That's why they became the household name. From Mario to you to Slim, all of them.
But you have to be dope to maintain it. But anybody come on a Swishahouse tape and do or say anything, you're gonna be famous for the week, at least the week that the mixtape come out. So you of course you right, you 100% right. You got to be dope to sustain it. But the Swishahouse was a well-oiled machine. Anybody get on there and do anything is, even if, like I say, even if you're whack, at least they'll know who, if you say your name all through the raps, they know, oh, that's such and such from the Swishahouse. And, being whack was like a footnote, you know what I'm saying? If you was whack rapping. I'm telling you. But no, you right though about, being dope. Yeah, they got to carry you, but I would make these excuses up, and I would see how people would go, it'd be somebody you see chasing their dream, and they get no response, nobody listen to them, no one care about them, then they get on the Swishahouse tape, and now they're somewhat of a household name, and it'd be like, oh, okay. So for me to go that path, it was like kind of expected. Okay, you become a household name on the underground circuit, So it wasn't, I never attributed any of that to my own talents or maybe hard work more than talent. I would attribute it to, but it was just right place, right time type of things. But I never, like I say, it wasn't until the People's Champ came out, debuted #1, platinum, all that kind of stuff, where I'm like, Man, I might be actually kind of good.
I'm gonna let Paul get away with that, but he knew he was dope before that. You originally, to my knowledge, and correct me if I'm wrong, Paul, you were not one of the rappers at Swishahouse at first. Weren't you promoting at first?
That's right.
Right. How does the guy promoting records transition into one of the premier stars of the Swishahouse?
Hey man,
you and Chamillionaire, I think, were promoting. Because that's how I knew you at first.
First, I gotta thank God. I got shout out to my mama. Always gave me encouragement, but always kept me like straight and narrow. Like, okay, this your hobby or is it your job? If this is your passion, what's gonna pay the bills? If your passion pays the bills, you're gonna lose your love for it pretty quick if you're not paying your bills. How do you? So she always kept me, focused on the difference between it being my job and something that there's a passion or something I love. But yeah, OG Ron C, I went to the same church with him and his sisters, his mom, his grandma. So I was, his cousin B Sykes, the one who gave me the nickname Paul Wall. So I was real close with them. And then of course Michael Watts too. I used to pass out flyers for him for the All-Star parties. I was like 14, 15 at this time. And me and Chamillionaire, we were a group. Me, Chamillionaire, and PKT, like I said, the Sleepwalkers at the time. But I would see, being that I would promote parties, so I would be passing out. That's how I found my way in. The line, and this is anybody out there that has a dream, especially the rappers out there, because it's probably a lot, but whatever your dream is, man, look, I wanted to be a rapper in the Swishahouse. The line to get in was around the block, around the corner. The line to get in the front door as a rapper to the Swishahouse. This is an analogy. Okay, the line, but it's true too. The line to get in the door to the Swishahouse was around the block. So how can I get in to the Swishahouse? Well, the side door, they letting people in, but you got to do promotions. You got to work. You got to put in work now. There's a couple other side doors you got to kind of go through training, maybe be a DJ or other thing, to be one of the distributors. These are all things I started to do where I would help distribute the mixtapes out. Me and T. Ferris would sit in there and we would manufacture the mixtapes. I guess that's how we would say it so we don't get in trouble. And I remember this is when I met T. Ferris, we were both at this time was 17. So I already known Michael Watson, Ron C for a few years now. I done worked my way up from passing out flyers, and never once did I ask them to rap on a mixtape. I would be sitting right there standing next to, I'd be sitting and standing at the same time, next to Michael Watts, and see somebody come up. And you kind of when you're the hottest in the city, when you're the hottest label in the city, and you're an up and coming rapper trying to get on with them, you got to work up your nerve. So there would be people that some people work up their nerve too much, and they come with too much confidence, and then they come over there and it's like, man, who you think you are coming to rap with the Swishahouse? Nah, you better humble yourself. And I would see people come over trying to get on, and they wouldn't get in. And Michael Watts wouldn't, nah, that ain't, I can't put you, I'm sorry, we ain't got no spots for you. And he wouldn't never sugarcoat nothing. He would never lead nobody on. He'd be straight up with you. And I would see all the time, riding with Michael Watts to drop off mixtapes or just riding with him, I'd see people calling him and it'd say, do not answer. And they'd be like, why don't answer? Because somebody is bugging me, want to rap with the Swishahouse. But the last time I let them give him a shot, they went and told the whole hood, they came over and wrecked us. Nah, you ain't wreck us. So you have to be respectful about how you handle coming in to rap with a conglomerate like the Swishahouse. So I was always just too scared to ask, because I was like, okay, if I ask to rap on the Swishahouse, Watts ain't never gonna answer my call again. He gonna change it from Paul Wall to do not answer, and he ain't never gonna answer my call again. So it was, it was just like I never asked, and he knew I rapped. He knew me and Chamillionaire. I really think he was a for real fan of Chamillionaire and me. He was just a fan of me, not really my rap style. I think at the time, understand. But he was, we were cool. So he definitely, as a person, and I'm still a little kid too. So, my hunger and passion, all that, if you're like somebody who's been in the game for a while, you see that and you're like, man, I like this little guy, he's just something about him. So it was, I just had a positive energy to me. It was really grateful to have a shot to even pass out flyers for the Swishahouse. So it was something I took a lot of pride in. My job, which was passing out flyers at the time, and then pressing up mixtapes, with T. Ferris, and then eventually distributing the mixtapes, going from place to place. And then it came a time, like I said, at the same time, I was close with Ron C as well, because I went to church with Ron C's family, you know, and his cousin gave me the nickname Paul Wall. His grandma and his mama used to always tell him, you know, watch out for Paul Wall, don't let him get mixed up in the wrong crowd. If he go down the wrong path, we're gonna hold you responsible, Ron C. That's what they would tell him. So he would always tell me, like, man, you better not be out there smoking and drinking and doing this other stuff, man. You still young, man. You know, just be careful, stay focused on your dreams, whatever. He would give me that type of encouragement. And I used to DJ at the time, too. Now, I didn't have turntables, but being it, see, this is how it started. It started, I had to come in so many back doors, you know what I'm saying, to get in. But when I would do promotions for labels, I would have the actual vinyl, the records to play if you wanted to be a DJ. I would bring the records to the DJs. The record label would send it to Ace or Lump, you know, the main people who did the promotions, and I was like their, you know, underling, you know, the one that would, you know, do the dirty work, you know what I'm saying, and they were my boss. So Ace say, hey, go take these new Def Jam records to, you know, Wicked Cricket, B Swift over at Jamaica. Wow. Take them to, you know, wherever here and there, you know, I would go do that. I would bring them the records. Here's the new song, here's the new record, you know, same with Lump. When Lump was working.
What up, Lump?
What up, Lump? What it do? You know, and being able to do stuff for and Mean Green as well. When you know, with No Limit, Cash Money, Def Jam. You're talking about hip hop in the '90s and early 2000s. Def Jam, Cash Money, and No Limit. You know, what was there other than that in hip hop? You know what I'm saying? So, if you're a DJ, the only way you could play the music was on vinyl. This is before CD players. You know, CD turntables, any of that. So if you wanted to play the hot song in the city, which usually was songs on the radio, you'd have to go to Soundwaves and buy the vinyl. Or, you know, especially if you're an up-and-coming DJ, good luck getting the music to play. So me having access to all the music, I had a couple friends that DJ'd. You know, we're still in high school at the time. They had the turntables and a few records that, you know, they bought from Soundwaves or got here and there. But what I brought to the table was access to all the hit music. Here, I got it all on vinyl for us. Mm-hmm. That just turned our parties up a notch. Anything, because we would throw our own parties, we would DJ parties, all of that. You know, it just, you know, if you can't play the hottest song in the city at the party, then the party is going to be, hey, play that Kiki song. You ain't got it? Man, I ain't got it. Oh, man, what? You know, it's, you know, disappointing. So, you know, you had that. So that's what I brought to the table. So at that time, when our homeboys had a little hookup on getting some turntables, I'm not gonna speak too much on that, but I ended up buying my first set of turntables from, you know, one of our homeboys, one of me and Ron C. It was really Ron C. homeboy. It was one of my big bro, and I'm not gonna say his name. He know who he is. I'm not gonna say his name because I don't want to put no trouble out there. I don't want to get no hate. Y'all might have said too much already, but I got my first set of turntables, and this was what at Ron C's studio, you know. So I'd keep them there. Ron C would use them to do mixtapes or whatever he's doing. Ron C didn't really DJ clubs and parties as much. He would just do kind of mixtapes. And, you know, I would DJ more parties and clubs. So, you know, when I'm not DJing the parties and clubs or, you know, high school or college parties, I'd bring the turntables back there. Ron C would have them set up and he'd be chopping up. And he would always be watching just, you know, all the DJ, what's it called? The DJ competitions. What do they call it? I forgot what it's called, but anyway, whatever the DJ, you would see people, and it wasn't like a how-to video. It would be a video of the DJ competition for that night, whatever it was called. Yeah, they battling, and Ron C would just watch what they were doing and watch it and rewind it, watch it, rewind it, watch it, rewind it, and then sit there and just do it. He mastered the craft, and he kicked me out the room. Mastered the craft, and called me in. Hey, Paul, I got homework for you. This is what you got to do. And I'd sit in there for 5, 6, 7 hours a day till I would master it. You know, he would do other things. I would have a real heavy hand when I would mix, so he would, you know, do certain things that would help me, you know, lighten my hand. And it was just, he really was my mentor, and I was 100% his apprentice when it came to DJing. But to be a Swishahouse DJ was like, well, it was only one. It was Michael Watts, you know. So even for OG Ron C to start when he started DJing the Swishahouse tape, because he would MC the tapes and Michael Watts would DJ him. Well, eventually they started both DJing their own mixtapes, because, you know, they were pumping out Swishahouse tapes every week. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And you know, so Ron C came with it, and he would, you know, so when he started doing his own mixtapes, of course, that helped me improve, and that gave me a lot of shots at freestyles, because basically any mixtape Ron C would put out, he would let me do a freestyle on there.
Okay.
And it was I always had one goal, and that was just to be on there at least once. Let me get on there once, because I would collect my mixtapes. However many mixtapes I was on, okay, I'm on this one. Okay, I got 4 now. I'm on this one. Okay, I got 10 now. And in my mind, I'd be thinking, how many do I have to have until I'm really technically, officially Paul Wall from the Swishahouse? You know what I'm saying? Because up until that point, it could be just, somehow I'm letting freestyle on my rap.
Right.
You know, so it'd be like, okay, eventually, you know, when it was like, okay, I'm Paul Wall from the Swishahouse, it was like, yeah, I made it. Well, I made it.
Do you remember what your first rap was?
The first.
Do you remember the first tape?
The first tape I was ever on, okay, it never came out. It was I remember meeting Michael Watts, and this is how my rapping on the Swishahouse was. This is the introduction to me. I was already a member of the Swishahouse, doing street team work, street promotions, and minor DJing. But I mean, I wasn't DJing mixtapes. I would just DJ, just Joking Comedy Club or a high school party or a college party. And when I'm talking on the mic, I'd say Swishahouse. I'd shout out Swishahouse a bunch of times. So I wasn't really technically a Swishahouse DJ. I just was like rep for the squad, But okay, I'm heavy in the promotions. I remember there was a store right on Cross Timbers, right by Airline. It was called like Superstars or Ghetto Stars or something like that. And it was a neighborhood music shop. They sold T-shirts, mixtape stuff like that. And I'm going in there putting up posters for whatever artists from No Limit, Cashman, whatever artists I'm promoting. I'm putting up posters. Michael Watts is going in there dropping off mixtapes, and he was like, just talking to me about what's going on. And I said, hey, Watts, I got a question for you. I love Cash Money music. Manny Fresh, my favorite producer, but I have never once ever heard a Swishahouse freestyle on Manny Fresh beats. Why is it? Do you not have the instrumentals? Does nobody like those? I know they can't not like the beats. They're the hardest beats in music. What's up? And he would say, well, the artist would just come to me and say, hey, I want to rap on this beat. Hey, I want to rap on that beat. And I was like, well, what's wrong? Why they don't want to rap on Manny Fresh beat? Man, I want to hear Slim Thug on a Manny Fresh beat. And he said, well, what's your favorite Cash Money beat? I said, my favorite right now is that Cash Money is an Army. That BG Cash Money is an Army. Betty had a Navy. And then Michael Watts said, okay. Oh yeah, I know that. Boom, 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 boom. He started like kind of making the beatboxing a little bit, and he said, "Okay, well, what would you say on it?" And I just kicked the freestyle, and he was like, so when I was done, he was like, bet, let's go to the studio and lay it. And I'm like, what you mean? Because I never been on a Swishahouse tape, so I don't know what the procedure is. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you mean I get to go lay it right now? He's like, yeah, come on. And I left my car there, hopped in his car. He had an Impala. We drove to the Dust Bowl, the Swishahouse. He used to call it the Dust Bowl. And Lil Ron lived a few houses down. He was much younger. So at the time, I might have been like 17 or 18. And Lil Ron was like maybe 13, 14. And while we're over there, he's like getting stuff set up, all this and that. He turned all the equipment on, looking for the beat, this and that. And he's like, oh yeah, Lil Ron come knocking on the door. And he said, yeah, this Lil Ron, he's somebody I just signed. I grew up with his parents and he want to rap. So they asked me would I, give him a shot. So he's our new Swishahouse artist. So he had never been on a tape yet before, and I get to meet him. And I'm like, oh, what's up? And, I'm looking up to Lil Ron because he's technically official Swishahouse artist. He's looking up to me because I'm like way older than him. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, I'm in here with Lil Ron, and he like, man, I'm in here with somebody, because all the other older Swishahouse rappers, they didn't show love to like the up and coming, people that wanted to rap with the Swishahouse. It was like a tight knit group. If you wasn't a part of that group, you just wasn't a part of the group. Right. So I remember rapping. It was actually it was 2 beats I freestyled on, and I did Cash Money as an Army and Bling Bling. And nice. Lil Ron, I think he jumped on one of them, but something happened. They never came out. So I don't know if they got erased because they was trash. I don't know if, they got lost because, the machine froze up or something, hard drive crashed. I don't know if they just got mistitled and it's somewhere sitting on a folder, mistitled or something. I don't know. But Michael Watts called me and said, hey, but also, by the way, I went in there freestyle, didn't say or do anything to anybody. I called Chamillionaire. Hey, Chamillionaire, I'm going over to freestyle with Swishahouse. You want to come? I think he was either out of town or he couldn't come or something like that. He didn't, whatever it was. But he was just like, hey, just go do it. We just trying to get our foot. And I don't even think he really was like enthusiastic at the time about trying to rap with the Swishahouse because he had his own thing going. He was signed to Hurt 'Em Bad. We were really trying to be rappers. So to do underground music was kind of like, I don't know, not a step back or like, it was, it was different. We were trying to really be mainstream art or just artists in general, and we don't know what we're doing. He had his own thing, so I don't know. Anyway, we just trying to get our foot in the door however we can. I go over there, do the raps. I don't tell nobody because, like I say, I done seen people come over there and rap, come back and tell the whole hood, man, I wrecked them over there, and then they get boop deleted. Nope, you ain't wreck us. Not especially if you finna say that. Nah, you ain't wreck us. You either wrecking with us or you ain't wrecking at all. That's kind of how it was. So I ain't say nothing to nobody. Then Watts called me and say, hey, bad news. I lost the freestyles, and I'm like, damn. And I'm like wondering secretly, like, did I do something to get it deleted or what happened? But I'm like, hey, well, thank you for the opportunity. It's all good. And he say, nah, it's all good. Look, this is what we're going to do. This is how we do it. Tell me what beat you want to rap on. I know you're already cool with Lester Roy, Archie Lee, Lil Mario, Slim Thug. I was already cool with a lot of these people, Big Pig. So he was like, look, whichever ones you cool with, that'll, let you come rap with them over here, come with them. But I'm like, yeah, right. I'm going to tell Slim Thug, hey, Slim, I want to rap with you. And he going to be like, yeah, you and everybody else, So I'm like, oh, man. But Archie Lee and Lester Roy, I was really close with them, too. So it was a song Juvenile had, Follow Me Now. That song, okay. I said it was that bump, 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 bump. Bum, bum. I don't know what song that was a remake of, but a sample of, but that was the Follow Me Now. I said, okay, man, I want to rap on that Follow Me Now. He said, okay, bet. Lester Roy said he want to rap on that too. So then Lester Roy called me. He said, hey, why say you want to rap on this beat? Bet, we going to go over there about 2 o'clock, meet us over there. Bet, come over there, come in, come to. Okay, bet. We end up doing the verse. Still, it never come out. Okay, at the time too, me and Chamillionaire also, we would kind of peep. Okay, it would be extremely difficult to get your music played on the radio. It's just a lot of hoops you got to jump through. It's a process, and if you don't know the process, it's not gonna happen. It's just really, you just gotta, it's the same way if you wanna play in the NBA. You don't just say, hey, I wanna play for the Rockets. Why am I not playing for the Rockets? Nah, you gotta go to college, you get drafted, go through the combines, work your ass off for 20 years, and then if you good enough and the right things fall into place, then maybe you'll play for the team. So it's the same thing in music. If you don't know the process, you just think people get handpicked and they flip a coin and they make it, but it is not how it works. Okay, so anyway, but me and Chamillionaire saw, okay, Michael Watts got his own radio show at night. And he would have an intro to his radio show, as a lot of people did. A lot of DJs, they had their intro where they get a local rapper, their homeboy, somebody to make an intro for their, for their show. And you would just highlight whatever they got going on. They got, the roll call. They got 5 to 10 is this. It's whatever's going on. You would talk about those things in the freestyle. So we basically had an idea to kind of do that for Michael Watts, okay? So me and Chamillionaire, we go over to Swishahouse. We say, okay, we got this idea. We want to make you an intro. And he's like, oh, bet. Yeah, I want y'all to make me an intro, bet. What beat y'all want to use? I don't know. And there was a Missy Elliott album that came out, and she had a song featuring Juvenile and somebody else from the Hot Boys, and it was produced by Manny Fresh. And we was like, okay, it was like such a picture Cash Money and then picture Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott is so abstract. So it was like an abstract Manny Fresh beat. Okay, so we like, oh, that's perfect.
But I did not even know that was a Missy track to this moment.
It was no instrumental too. Watts, I don't know how he looped it, but he like found like a half a bar and he like looped it some type of way. Yeah, that for sure was my favorite Missy Elliott song, beat anything, because it was featuring the Hot Boys, my favorite group. Only thing it could have been better is if it was featuring Lil Kiki. But okay, so we rapped on that, and also I grew up in the era where the DJ was admired and put on a pedestal. The rappers talked about how good their DJ was. He's way better than your DJ. You know, my DJ better than your DJ. That's just how it was. You know, you would brag. Part of how you would brag about being better than somebody was you would brag on your DJ being better than their DJ. And I always liked how they would, you know, as a rapper, you would big up someone else. And that would help a rising tide lift all the boat, make you look better because you're promoting how good you're, you know, and I always just had respect. My dream job was to be a DJ. I wanted to be a DJ, you know, for the radio station. That was what I thought was the end all be all.
I'm sorry that the music industry worked out for you. You wouldn't just has-been DJ like myself. Sorry, Paul.
No.
Sorry that getting platinum albums just didn't work out for you. You didn't like it so much. Nah.
But that was also, you know, occasionally you would hear a DJ rap. Man, when I would hear DJ Screw rap, that was always the greatest thing to me. Because one, he was spitting bars. Two, he was the DJ rapping. And it was like, I'm so good at DJing, I can rap too. And I'm out rap y'all rappers, you know. So when I heard rappers rapping, I always liked that. Okay, so that was something I said, man, I never heard Michael Watts rap on a Swishahouse tape. Never. And, you know, I asked Watts, hey, Watts, how come you never rap on Swishahouse tape? And it was basically because all the other Swishahouse rappers didn't want him rapping with them. They didn't respect his bars or his rap game or nothing. We didn't look at it like that. We thought it would be, man, that would be the dopest thing in the world if we got a freestyle with Michael Watts, because off top, if it's Michael Watts rapping, it's going to get listened to just because it's featuring Michael Watts rapping. So we're like, okay, if it's featuring Michael Watts or not featuring Michael Watts, it's going to get way more listens if it's featuring Michael Watts. So that's dope off top. Then it's the first rap he ever did on a mixtape. He came in there, he wrote his own bars, dropped his verse, and we just really did rap. We just did freestyles. It really wasn't necessarily, it was created as an intro to his radio show, although we didn't really talk about his radio show that much. We talked about Michael Watts a bunch in our freestyle, like giving him big up in them and stuff like that, but we didn't talk about, at 8 o'clock is the, this coming up, and at 9 o'clock is this, we didn't, but it worked. Because that freestyle didn't get deleted. That one didn't get lost. So
there was a plan.
It was a plan. It worked. And it just so happened that freestyle and the Follow Me Now freestyle that we did with Lester Roy both came out on the same mixtape, which was Chopping Them Up Part 2. So that was my first time I rapped with the Swishahouse. It never came out. The first 2 times, it never came out. But the first time I was rapping on the Swishahouse tape. But that just goes to show that it's a process. You know, if I would have been a mad rapper, my verse got deleted. Oh, man, screw y'all, man. Whatever, just talking trash in the hood or whatever. Just, that would have maybe been the end of Paul Wall as we know it, but things happen all the time. Sometimes, by happenstance, they just happen to happen.
When all that stuff, real quick, Paul, when all that stuff starts happening, are you now feeling a part of the Swishahouse, and are you being recognized as Paul Wall of the Swishahouse?
Man, it's funny, man. See, we could talk about this all day. I got so many stories. At this time, okay, before I ever rapped on a Swishahouse tape, I wanted to be known as Paul Wall from the Swishahouse. You know what I'm saying? But they only know the rappers. They ain't gonna, that's Paul Wall, the guy that passed out flyers, the scrub over there.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? But I wanted to be known as Paul Wall from the Swishahouse. And I was definitely a part of the company. I was an employee. I was a junior, lower level employee. You know what I'm saying? But I was definitely an employee. Okay, now these are the early days of chat rooms, computers, stuff like that. Okay, I used to go to school. I went to University of Houston, but I lived in Acres Home. So I also took a class at North Harris Community College, or it was I forgot what they think they changed the name, but it was right there on Carver and Victor over there, somewhere over there. And I would go, and it was basically a very, very, very small community college. I would go over there. There would be a computer lab, which was like 6 computers. and I'd go to my class and go to the computer lab, and I would be the only one in the computer, in the computer lab. No one else would be in there. So I would go to the Swishahouse website, the Swishahouse chat room, and I would be catfishing everybody. if it was 10 computers, 6 computers, it was 6. It was me, but I had 6 different personalities. One of them was typing in all caps. One of them talked super proper. One of them was somebody from another state. One of them was something, and all you had to have was a username and a password, So that's what I did, and I would just be consistent with who these characters were I created. And I remember one of the discussions would always be
catfisher.
I was the original catfisher, man. But the main discussion that would always come up was, who is your favorite Swishahouse rapper? And eventually, I would kind of be strategic how I would do it. I wouldn't just come out with all 10 people and say, Paul Wall's my favorite. Paul Wall's my favorite. I would be honest. Yeah, Slim Thug's my favorite. Or PJ's my favorite. Or Lil Mario's my favorite. Different people had their different favorites. And then at one point, one of them was like, yeah, I like such and such, such and such, and Paul Wall. And then people were like, who's Paul Wall? We ain't heard him. Oh, yeah, he rap with 2 shots too. Yeah, he go hard. Yeah, he go kind of hard, But I can't be too much on my own nuts, because they're going to be like, wait a minute, something suspicious. So I got to, whatever, be constructive about it. And then one of the other people, yeah, I like Paul Wall too, And then would come up, yeah, I like Slim Thug, PJ, and Paul Wall. I like J-Dog, Slim Thug, and Paul Wall, And one day, one of the other people in the chat room was like, yeah, I like Paul Wall too. He one of my favorite. And I was like, wait a minute. I ain't never been on a Swishahouse tape before. How could I be your favorite when there literally is no Paul Wall? Okay, I forgot to say this too. Like I say, if it was 10 computers, one of them was me. Hey, what's up, y'all? This Paul Wall. The other 9 was me catfishing people. So I would be on there, oh, thank y'all for the love. Oh, thank you for the love. So I would kind of build up my internet fan base, because whoever's in the chat room, it's a community.
Smart,
it's a community.
That's
so
smart. Whenever
I finally was on the Swishahouse tape, all the people who knew me from commenting back and forth, and I'm friendly. I'm the people's champ, so I would be friendly in the chat room. When I finally came out, they were open to listening to me. They supported me because they already kind of felt like they knew me, and so I got a good reaction, good response online. And but that also, it made me think, wow, the power of persuasion just. Because I never had, how could they possibly have ever heard me rap? They never heard me rap before, but they talking about I'm one of their favorite Swishahouse rappers. Like, man, what's going on?
Good marketing.
It worked.
It's good marketing, yeah.
And from and there,
people don't realize how early in the game this really is, because even when y'all first signed,
this is 98.
I don't understand. None of this stuff. And when y'all be talking about it, I'm like, it's over my head. I don't care. Yeah, but it was, to be a rapper, I can't say is my dream job, but to be employed through the genre of hip hop is my dream job, because to be a rapper was never a possibility. To be a DJ was something. Okay, I could see a career path, because I saw you didn't, especially at the early days of hip hop, you didn't see great grandparents who used to be rappers. It was young people in their 20s who were rappers, and that was it. There was no like Aerosmith of rap. There was no these people of rap that Willie Nelson, who was 80 touring. So that's what I always, like, my dream was to be a DJ, because I saw DJs that were older. The DJs that were always a little bit older than the rappers, especially back in those days. The DJs had families, they had jobs, they were paying bills. So I could see a career path where it's like, to be a rapper was like hitting a lick. It's like, you can't sustain this as a career job for 20, 30 years. But a DJ, I could sustain it. Now, I might pay less than the rappers, but it's a job, a career, and you get to do something you love. So I love hip hop. So it was like, man, I was ready to pass out flyers for 20 years. Because to have a job just associated with hip hop and music was the greatest job, on earth. So it was something I always took a lot of pride and gratefulness in just being blessed to have that opportunity. It's also something I never wanted to mess up. If my career goes to the toilet,
I do not want it to be because of something I did, because I, was disrespectful to somebody, or because I showed up late too many times, or because I got drunk and got beside myself or something. Like, man, you will never hear that story coming from me, But, there was just the career path of, so that's why me being doing the promotions for the Swishahouse, or being a DJ for the Swishahouse, not a chopped and screwed DJ for the Swishahouse, but like, a touring DJ or a club DJ who repped for the Swishahouse. I was part of the Swishahouse squad. That was something that was like.
Do you remember? Okay, what's the song or tape where now Paul is being recognized as this MC?
Definitely the Bag Lady Explosive freestyle. Nice. That was the one. But I even still remember when we did the intro for Watts on his radio show. Because it was featuring Watts, I still remember taking my god sister Nina. I'm taking my sister. We're leaving Antoine in Little York. I'm headed to Prairie View. She was about to be a freshman in Prairie View. I'm taking her to Prairie View, and the song comes on the radio, and I hear Mad Hatter, it's you, playing the song, the intro. Of course, you only played it because it was Watts rapping on it. It was like,
I
wait a
don't even
minute.
remember this.
Yeah, it was on Mama's. It was the first time Watts had ever rapped, and you're like surprised, like, Watts, we gotta, you of course, the Swishahouse was already a household name, but now Watts, you're rapping. Well, we're gonna play this freestyle with Watts rapping on it. It's me, Chamillionaire, and Watts. And I remember hearing it and hearing my voice and my god sister Nina being like, that's you. Well, that's a tape. That ain't the radio, is it? And I'm like, nah, look what it say. The radio, it got the numbers on there. And it was unbelievable. And I remember the feeling, but I also it was so fleeting. It like came and went. Because I was like, what now? Okay, and that's why I like so many artists get upset because their music doesn't get played on the radio. When it's like, that's not even the path you're trying to really take with your music. Why do you even want that? You go the path that works for you. And just because you get played on the radio, especially just because you get played one time, doesn't change anything. How many people in the world are, and then I gotta be that guy that's going around telling everybody, they be playing on me. They be playing me on the radio. They be playing me on the radio when they played you one time, And I just was like, okay, what next? What can I do to, like, okay, I know this is still a monumental, moment in my life and my career, but what next? But it was that explosive freestyle. The what it do is Paul Wall. I can flow so cold. I'm 19 years old with a mouthful of gold. I'm more cold in the winter, but I'm hot like the summer. I'm a caller Michael Watson, swing the Swishahouse Hummer. I'm more hot than the summer, but I'm cool like the fall. I could creep and I could crawl. It's that boy Paul Wall, and I'ma tell all y'all, Lou Hawk on my side, 220s on my ride. Now I glide like Clyde, and I'ma ride with Blindside on my boy Big Tyke. Paul Wall could catch bobbers if I rode on a bike, but I'ma ride a big body with my cousin Scotty. Okay, anything else you want to hear, you got to go stream that. You got to stream that. But that was the first time. Also,
everything changed after
everything
that.
Changed after that.
Everything changed.
I would already get a lot of love. I already laid a lot of the foundation by being the distributor. So I would get in my car and go to Dallas, San Antonio, various cities, meet the store owners that sold Swishahouse tapes, hang out with them, meet the fans, because also it was something special for them. Not that Paul Wall was there, but just that a Swishahouse quote-unquote representative was there. They didn't know what the hell Paul Wall was, but just, hey, there's somebody from the Swishahouse. Oh, you from the Swishahouse? Just because the Swishahouse was so huge. And, and like I say, at that time, there was no Paul Wall, but I kind of laid the foundation so that when I actually did come out on a freestyle, and the explosive freestyle wasn't my first, wasn't my second, it just was the one that caught. And I don't know if it was a combination of the beat or how I wrote the beat or what I said, and all of it. And
it was all of that.
It was playing it every car wash, and it really was a Dallas thing. Every car wash in Dallas, Fort Worth, anywhere, Arlington, the whole area, man, anywhere out there, they playing this freestyle everywhere. And that is when I really was like, and it was confusing because I'm like trying to figure out why. What about this one that makes it special? Is it the beat? Is it how I wrote it? Is it what I said? Chamillionaire was on there too, but for whatever reason, they talked about comedians chopping them up too freestyle. They didn't talk about his explosive freestyle. And they didn't talk about my chopping them up part 2 freestyle. They talked about my explosive. So I was like, wait a minute, Chameleon on here too. Why ain't nobody talking about him? And then, okay, well, it's just one of them things where you just can't pinpoint it. It's for whatever reason, I got certain, Lil Kiki freestyles that I just love how he said this or that. And, and some of my friends, like T. Ferris, he loved the same freestyles I love. For whatever reason, he feels the same way about those same moments. Then I go, let some of my homeboys in LA hear these freestyles and they don't get it. They're like, I don't get it. They just don't get it. So I don't know what it was, but it was something about that explosive freestyle that really took me to another level in terms of being from the Swishahouse. And that was when it was, okay, I'm power off from the Swishahouse. What, man, what I got to do to get a chain, man? I'll buy my chain. I don't want to go get it made behind your back on some sneak. But man, you get everybody, I remember too. Because, it's you give one person a chain and everybody want a chain. Everybody expect a chain. You come do one rap, everybody, oh yeah, I got a chain now. So it's like, man, I don't want to be that guy. I want, but I do want a chain. What do I got to do? I was like, man, give me the basic chain. I'll go put my own diamonds on it. That's what I did. But even then, I remember when Chamillionaire got a chain, but I didn't. Oh, I was so hurt. I was like, man. And I remember having a conversation with Watts in his car. I was like, Watts, if you don't give me a chain, I'm going to buy my own chain and have it made. And if you mad at me, you just gonna be mad at me. But how he got a chain, I'm the one brought him here,
Right.
But it just, man, this is how it goes sometimes. You gotta wait your turn. And sometimes, the perfect analogy to me is the popcorn analogy. You put the popcorn on the pot, all the kernels, even though the heat is the same, they pop at different times. You gotta wait your turn to pop, man.
I like that.
And Watts was like, he could see my frustration and he knew I was really dedicated and passionate to the Swishahouse, how I represent, I love the Swishahouse. Still to this day. And he would say, all right, he told me, all right, I got you a chain. He got me a chain. It was a kind of basic chain, but that was cool. That's all I needed. I went right on to Johnny and said, Johnny, ice me up.
Do you still have that chain?
I gave it to Lou Hawk.
Wow.
I ended up giving it to Lil Hawk later on. And I don't know what happened when rest in peace, Lil Hawk. When he passed away, I don't think he got it. I think he might have maybe sold it. Lil Hawk was going through a lot of things spiritually and just, with in his personal life. He was really trying to shed a lot of his worldly ways. And part of that was letting go to, his experiences as a rapper in the rap game. He really was just trying to turn over a new leaf, and walk a life on a path with God. So, in order for him to do that, he had to fully let go. And so I don't know what he did with the chain. I don't know if he sold it, gave it away, threw it away.
Side note, because Lil Hawk, when y'all guys by the time you get to Paid in Full, I'm going to go to that story later, but I do want to say I always wanted to see a Water Boys album.
Man, me too, bro. 50-50, Lil Hawk. Oh,
that would have been... That's what I was really hoping for. Because I was hoping for some Cash Money stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if Chamillionaire, you stop this.
Yeah,
he wouldn't. That he tried to.
Yeah.
But I was really pushing this Water Boys record.
Man, me too.
And because I could see the vision. I could see the vision, and I'm really, and y'all got a couple of songs together,
right?
But
the album,
an album with the Water Boys.
When we did that photo shoot in the locker room, that should have been the album. We should have, man. We had the cover. We just didn't have the music.
That album would have been a classic. To this day, I'm still a little hurt.
Yeah, me too.
That we never had a Water Boys album, man.
Well, everything happened for a reason.
It does.
It's so funny.
R.I.P. again.
We talk about that. Lil Hawk, man, he was very embedded in his views. Whatever he thought, he believed that to his core.
He did.
He didn't halfway think this or that. He might be misunderstood.
But all of y'all did, Paul.
Yeah.
All of y'all have very strong opinions.
Yeah, opinions. Yeah.
Even with 50-50 Twin.
Yeah.
Because here's why I signed 50, and I'm jumping ahead. Because I really want to ask you some other stuff.
Yeah,
but I can talk about
my 15-year-old days all day.
I signed 50 because when I signed him, 50 said, hey, Hatter, I might be with you today, but I can totally be against you tomorrow.
Yeah.
I said, man, it don't get no realer than that.
Yeah, who's going to tell you that?
I said, you know what? I just appreciate your realness. I know that I might have a problem with you.
Yeah.
Here's the contract.
Yeah.
And that's why I signed 50. When he said that, I'm like, it gets no realer than that. He let me know I could be a problem. So I always respected that. Here's what I want to know, though. How was your mom during this time? And did she understand what her son was doing with all these black guys?
Well, I mean, in terms of the race, that was never a thing because all my friends were always black. So, you know, and I had a mixture of friends that were other races as well. I had Hispanic friends, Asian friends, and a couple white friends here and there. But by and far, my friends were all always black, almost all always black. So that was never something that she ever even scratched her head about. It was just a natural thing. But in terms of being a musician, she didn't want to see me get hurt, you know. She knows when I put my heart into something, I put it all in it, you know. So she didn't want to see me follow a path and then end up, a drug addict or something, or end up, you know, like somebody who's, you know, crashed in their life. You know, she only wanted good things for me, the best for me, and you know, so this is something I love. She encouraged me to do it, but she always encouraged me to think about paying my bills. Always think about your bills. And it was never like, some parents will be like, you're crazy for doing that. You need to, you know, be a lawyer, a doctor, or something like that. No, it wasn't nothing like that at all. It was just, hey, whatever you love to do, it's not your job if you're not getting a salary and a paycheck from it. You know, it could be your passion, it could be a hobby, but it's not your career and your job. And you can't survive in this world without a career or a job. How are you going to have a family? If you get a girl pregnant, you know, it's so expensive to take care of a kid. You don't want your child to, you know, go hungry or be wearing dirty diapers for a week, or, you know, have a cough and you can't afford to take them to the doctor. These are real things that people go through every day, today, you know. So she's like, hey, what are you going to do? How are you going to be able to afford to pay your light bill? How are you going to afford to pay your car note? And at that time, I was young. You know, I was 17. I moved out the house young. I skipped a grade in high school, and I graduated a year early. I was supposed to graduate in 99. Chamillionaire graduated in 98, and PKT graduated in 97. So when PKT graduated in 97, I was a freshman. Or maybe I was a freshman. Okay. My math bad, even though I skipped a grade. Anyway, I was not about to let Chamillionaire and PKT graduate and be rap superstars, and I'm still going to high school every year. And I was like, man, there's no way this is gonna happen. And I remember we took a bus trip down to Atlanta. When PKT graduated, he went to Atlanta to go to school. And me and Chamillionaire rode the Greyhound because it was the only thing we could afford to go down there to whatever their Springfest college thing they had going on. All the rappers, everything going. So we like, okay, we're going to Atlanta first time in our life. Leaving Houston like this first time in our life. We on a Greyhound. Me and Chamillionaire, we ain't got no bags, nothing. We just go down there with whatever we wearing, and we gonna stay for a couple of days and then come back. And it was. I could see it then too. It's like, oh hell no, they gonna leave me. You know, not like a you left me kind of thing, but just more like, man, I'm gonna be stuck here and I'm gonna hold the group back. If I'm in high school, how are they gonna be able to do shows, go to studio, all that? I'm gonna hold them back, man. And there was a couple girls in my grade that Annie Sue and I think Clarice, who was it? Sharice. Wayne, what's your name? I forgot your name, but that's my homie too. Wherever you at, you still my homegirl. Sharice, they both graduated, and I was clowning them because we was in the same grade and all the same classes. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, y'all skipping a grade, y'all some nerds. I'm just like teasing them a little bit, and they like, well, you and I the same class, you could do the same thing. And I'm like, wait a minute, that'd be perfect if I could skip a grade. I ain't gotta be here. I used to get bullied in high school too, so it was like even in junior high, I used to get really bullied. So it was so
I never
I
knew
couldn't
this.
wait to get out of there. Oh yeah,
they bullied you for what?
Oh man.
I never knew this.
I don't know. I can only speculate, you know. Well, they used to make me lay down in the middle of the street, and if I move, they'll throw golf balls at me. I remember one time they tied me to a tree and put all this lunch meat on my face and let all these dogs loose. The dogs just came up and licked me, though, but I was so scared I thought I was about to die. Oh, my God. But, yeah, man, it was crazy. So I was ready to get up out of there. But...
Did that, okay, I have to ask this, Paul, because you say you were bullied. Did it have any impact, do you think, on you whatsoever? Because you never spoke on that. And I've talked to you several times as a friend, as a DJ, interviewing you, whatever.
I definitely think it had a huge impact on me. More so on how you treat other people, and when you see somebody, you never know what they're going through, you know, because I'm always smiling. So people always assume I'm always happy, everything's perfect, and it'd be like, and I've also been somebody that have always measured myself compared to other people, not in a negative way, but if I'm going through something bad, I always think about the many people that are going through worse. And no matter how bad it is for me, it could always be worse. How good it is, it could all be gone in a moment. So be grateful for it. Don't do nothing that's gonna mess it up. Don't do nothing that's gonna make it go away quicker than
Have you ever seen any of the bullies? Have they ever came back to you? I'm sorry, Paul. I was tripping.
I think they might know better. I ain't no punk no more. When you talking about people that's like 18, 19, even 16, 17, when you're 12, 13, it's like, what can I do? And I'm by myself. It was one of them things where there's literally nothing I could do,
I'm assuming that some of these people had to be of another color.
They were the same color I am.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they're the same color I am.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's why I say I can only speculate. Maybe they didn't like the type of person I was, or I don't know
who you were hanging around.
Yeah, maybe I was hanging around people they didn't want me. They didn't think I should be hanging around. That's a real thing, even in 2021.
Paul, has in the early stages, did race play any part of anything that you saw for you?
Nah,
was it ever impactful?
The only time race ever even mentioned to me, about me, anything period, was when we signed a major deal. And then it was, there's a white rapper, but my whole underground career, my whole mixtape career, all of that, it was never a consideration. Whatever my race was, it was no race, because we were rapping on the Swishahouse tape. So one, it slowed down. I don't know if that has some effect to it. Also, how I talk. Maybe also when the word was that one of us was white, me and Chamillionaire, a lot of people thought Chamillionaire was white because he talked a little more
all the big all the big words.
He used big words, stuff like this. So it just was one of them things. That's also a funny thing, because he never said the N-word like a lot, but he would say it occasionally. So if you thinking he's white and he's saying the N-word, then you come up to me, you like, man, you need to stop saying the N-word. That ain't me, that's him. They got us mixed up. But it was never ever a factor or consideration. At least to my knowledge, like, I don't know if people talk about it behind the scenes, but it never came up ever in any interview ever. It never came up in any article ever. It never came up in any comment.
Nobody ever said, "Oh, you trying to act black?" Or
the people that was bullying me would say that, but I never was ever really even thinking, to my knowledge, like my whole life growing up. The black people I grew up with, the Hispanic people, Asian people I grew up, none of them, no one ever said that. No one ever said that to me. It was only white people that were like, why are you talking black? And I'd be like, how do you talk black? Why are you acting black? How do you act black? And I'm just acting the same way that my friends act. Yeah. I'm talking the same way they act, the same way people in my neighborhood talk, all of that. And this is how I was raised. But so that's why I'm like, I can only speculate that's what the people that were bullying me didn't like, because they would say that. But I never got any type of bad or good. It just wasn't a factor, at least, like I say, to my knowledge, until Still Tipping comes out. Then we sign a major deal, and then that's all everyone wants to talk about, was because at that time too, even think about this. The only white rapper that was successful, of course, the greatest, that was most successful, was Eminem. So after Eminem, there really wasn't white, and I came up as Eminem was coming up, but he came up major, I came up independent, all of that, of course. I don't mean to compare it like it's the same, but it was just something that it wasn't like white rappers. It wasn't labels looking for the next white rapper. It was, there's one white rapper, Eminem, and there ain't no more. Then eventually there were some labels that were like, oh, we all got to sign a white rapper. And I was very careful to not be that person. I did not want to be the white rapper that they signed so that they can have their version of Eminem. I didn't want to be a down south version of Eminem. I didn't want to be any version. I just wanted to be me. I wanted to be the Paul Wall version of Lil Kiki. That's what I wanted.
Have y'all ever met you and M? Have y'all ever met?
No, I ain't never met him.
Really? After all these years? I would have thought that.
After all these years, I still ain't never met my dad, man. Now I was playing Eminem. I was playing.
I'm like, what?
I be joking on Father's Day. I be giving them Happy Father's Day shout outs, man. I got so I don't want to diss me, man. He didn't shout me out on a couple songs. I got like about 4 or 5 shout outs from Eminem over the years just on verses, and every time I on a verse here and there, when I hear it, I be like, man, he shot me out. Did you say something good? Did you say something bad? Because I don't say something bad,
he respect you.
and then everybody gonna be like, hey, you gotta say something back to him. Hell no, don't set me up. But I'm gonna say this, man, by Eminem, and the same thing goes for Chamillionaire. It's like an inside joke I got with my boy Pascal, who does the satellite supply. It's an inside joke we have. I always joke about Eminem. Now, before he dropped the Kamikaze mixtape, where he was mostly talking about MGK, Machine Gun Kelly, before that, you know, there was like, you know, some of his music, the critics, you know, would say, oh, he fell off. But then when he came with the Kamikaze, everybody's like, oh, he's back. So even before that, this is like, I've been having this joke for like 10 years. Man, hey, one of these days, I'm a diss Chamillionaire just to lure him out of retirement. You know, one of these days.
I don't even think it'll work.
One of these days, yeah, because Chamillionaire will see right through it.
Yeah, he will.
One of these days.
He's like, I know what Paul's doing.
We tried it on the Toby song. We tried it in a friendly way.
Yeah, I thought it was going to work too. I thought he was going to come out, but yeah.
The same way, one of these days, I'm going to diss Eminem just to bring him out of retirement, to just stir the pot, just to, you know, light the fire up on him. Because think about it.
I don't even think he would respond.
Well, if I came at him with a full-on diss and I'm like, shit.
I think, yeah, if he felt malice, he might go for it. Now, if he say something about his daughter or something like that,
yeah.
He might let you have to fly to the city or something.
I can't do that though. Like I could never talk about somebody's daughter or somebody's family, or even like something that's like a real put down. I couldn't say. I could say, you know, I can make up something, you know. But if it's like, I couldn't say, if you got a gap in your teeth, I'm not gonna make fun of the gap in your teeth. You know what I'm saying? If you got on some dusty shoes, I'm not gonna make fun of that because you might be going through something financially. And I never judged any person's worth
nice all the way to the end.
Exactly. So that's why I say it's a joke. You know, I'm gonna diss Eminem just to bring him out of it. But that was our ongoing joke. Me and my homeboy would have, like, man, say, man, should I do it? Should I do it? And but thankfully, the gods of rap, I didn't have to do that because Chamillionaire and Eminem both probably would destroy me. I'm not a battler.